coming today. Got it. Let me introduce myself. My name is Dolores Dyer. I am your UCLA Travel Chair, and I am Assistant UC Travel Chair. Here with us today is Sue Barnes. She's from UC Davis, and she is the UC Travel Chair. I'm her lowly assistant. Sue is the UC Travel Chair. We also have some of our new UC Travel Escorts. And I see that Vicky Lowe, raise your hand. She's here. She's one of our new escorts going on some of our trips. She's a retiree from UCSF back in 2008. I don't see Frank. Frank's another escort. He will be joining us, I think, for part of our meeting. He retired from UC Santa Cruz. And another one of our escorts is Sandra Norbert. She's a UC San Francisco. Sue says she is going to be escorting one of the trips for another organization, and she's off on a pre-trip. Correct, Sue? Is that where she's at today? And I'm going to introduce again the man, JFehan from Collette Travel. He's been with Collette for over 30 years. 11 years he was a tour guide. And he told me, let me see, what did she say? This is Jay's title. He is the Business Development Manager.
Doesn't that sound important?
That sounds very important.
I love these titles.
I've been working with Jay and Collette since I started helping out Sue. He's taken great care of our travelers. We've had one trip, and it was the Canadian Rockies by train. We're going on another trip in about 2 months, and Jay will talk about that a little bit. It's the Netherlands, Brussels, and France. And I can say that Collette and Jay have been super attentive to all of our UC travelers. So like they used to say to Johnny, here's Jay, the floor is all yours. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Let me hit share screen here, see if I can get everything up. All right, there we go. Cool. Okay, I think we are good to go. So anyways, really glad you're all here. So what we're going to do is highlight our 22 offerings, and then at 3 o'clock go into 23. But we really have some great trips. We look for diverse trips, you know, all a little different. And of course, some of them we had to move. The Canadian Rockies train was for last year, and with COVID, it changed quite a bit. We still had 5 go. They wanted to check it out, but the rest of us opted to go next year. So that worked out nicely. So I'm Jay. I'm with Collette. My last name's Fehan. I've been there 32 years. People ask me, why do you stay there? I did get a couple job offers during this whole COVID craziness, but there's a few reasons. I really like what they do. I was here for 9/11, and the New York Times wrote us up as the company that best handled 9/11. And now we just won an award for the pandemic response. So I can't work for companies that do shady things. You know, I have to look in the mirror and know I work for someone well. And I can call the CEO. He's right in my cell phone. We do talk several times a year. If I worked for one of those big companies, I probably would barely meet the CEO. So that's part of the reason I stay, is just how they handle stuff. They do what's right, you know. You do see us a lot of Wheel of Fortune. We just had a week on Wheel of Fortune the 3rd week of January where they gave away some trips. And we're a solid 4-star. Every hotel we stay in, we make sure is ranked 4-star to 4.5-star, once in a while a 5-star, but we don't slide in those 3 stars, you know, which is important. We also, you know, like to stay city center and not stay out in the burbs and towns you've never heard of or that aren't well known. We do breakfast every day. We do dinner generally every other night. We try to make dinner an event and not just a hotel restaurant. You know, when you're eating at the Hilton, you could be in Ohio for all you know. Nothing against Ohio, but you know, when you're in Italy, you want to go out for Italian cuisine at a local place, not eat at the Hilton. So lots of sightseeing included. We keep our optional tours to a minimum, which is nice. We try to keep 1-night stays to a minimum as well. So you will see a lot of 3 nights and 2 nights and stuff like that. So it's just a really nice way to travel. We don't mail your house catalogs. We feel like if you like our trips, you'll call Dolores, you'll call Sue. So we're not going to kill trees and mail you every week a new catalog. But this is what I mean by why I stay. You know, if we had done vouchers during the pandemic when everything had to be canceled, in a way, it'd be great because you'd have no choice but to come back to Collette because we'd have $3,000 or $4,000 of yours. But our CEO, you know, did what's right. He goes, Jay, if I can't deliver these trips that I promised, I'm not keeping their money. And so, and they're very smart with their money. You know, they don't, when you make a deposit, it's for your trip. It's not for the guy going next week. So we have refunded, now we're up to 158 million. I know this slide says 130 million, but it's grown since this slide came around. But once again, this makes me proud. It was the ethical, correct thing to do. So, you know, when you book with us, if things aren't going to go right, we just canceled some Poland departures since our troops are flying to Poland, you know, so they're going to get all their money back. You don't have to worry about that worthless piece of paper that you can go next year or what have you. All right. So anyways, that kind of gives you a feel for us, hopefully. So this first trip, we weren't really going to show when we planned this a while back. It had actually filled up. It's a small group trip. But as you know, there's some nervous folks out there that have canceled. So right now we actually have 10 open spots. And I thought, well, let's go ahead and show it for those of you that might want to get out of town sooner rather than later. So this is our trip to the Netherlands that Dolores mentioned. All right. It's the Netherlands, Belgium, and France. All right. Average group size here is 19. It's 12 days. And I love the pacing on this. And that we're going to be 3 nights Amsterdam, once again, city center, of course, then to Bruges. You don't see a lot of tours that stay in Bruges, but Bruges has a lot of smaller hotels, but we're a smaller group, so we can stay there. Then off to Reims in France, and then Paris 3 nights. So you get 3 nights at the beginning, 3 nights at the end. And of course, next year is a big event over there called the Floriade, and we're including the Floriade. So that'll be fun. I shouldn't say next year, it's this year. I'm in 22. It's taken me a while. Okay. So Amsterdam, we'll fly on in, we'll have a welcome dinner the first night. We're gonna, the following morning, after we've had a good night's sleep, we're gonna do a canal cruise, which is your best way to see the city versus a motor coach tour. And then that afternoon, we're gonna go to the Kukenhof Gardens. All right, this is not part of Floriade. This happens every year, the Kukenhof, but there's 7 million tulips there. So it's really neat to look around. And even if it's a rainy day, they have the beautiful inside greenhouses, which are spectacular. I'm actually using some of my mother's pictures here from when she went. These flowers are so big, you couldn't really tell how big. So she stuck her hand in one of the pictures. And I thought, wow, now you can really see how huge those flowers are. And she took this picture of this kid here. I thought was so cute. Might have to pay that kid royalties. I've been showing this picture quite a lot. Okay, so Floriade is the following day. So we're in Amsterdam 3 nights, so we get more time for sightseeing. This happens every 10 years. So if you don't go this year, you can go again in 2032. It's 146 acres and it's 40 different countries that come together to put on displays. And keep in mind, it's not just flower displays. It's all about gardening. So it can be, you know, deciduous shrubs and what have you, but pretty interesting. And one of the focuses is how the world's going to have to start going green because of climate change. So here's what some of the buildings will look like. But they'll have lectures and talks and demonstrations. And as you see, they have a skyline ride from one end of the park to the other because it is quite big. Greenhouses that folks will just love to see. So it should be really interesting. So to have Kukenhof and the Floriade in one trip, Dolores and I just thought, what a fun thing to take in. All right. While in Amsterdam, we are going to visit a brewery that's known for hiring handicapped folks. So that's always fun. Do some tasting. We'll go out for dinner after that. And that's our 3 nights Amsterdam. All right. Next day, we're going to head to Gouda and we're going to learn about Gouda cheese, visit a cheese factory, do some tasting. And then from there, we'll go to Kinderdijk, which is a windmill capital of the world. It's kind of neat to see these windmills up close. Then we'll arrive in Bruges for a 2-night stay. And Bruges is just gorgeous. If you haven't seen the movie In Bruges, you might want to watch that. It really highlights the beautiful scenery, the guild architecture, but it's to me the waterways with the trees and ivy growing up the side. You know, it's kind of Venice of the West. It's another nickname for it. So it is the lace capital, and of course another big industry there is chocolates, Belgium chocolates. But I think you'll fall in love with Bruges. So from Bruges, after 2 nights there, we are going to head to Brussels, do a city tour, and then continue on down to Reims. All right, down in Reims now, we're here for 2 nights. This is a Champagne region. So we'll tour Reims itself, including their Notre Dame Cathedral, not to be confused with the one, oh, sorry, that burned in Paris. And then we're going to travel on the Route des Champagne and do some tasting. So that's always fun. And then go to Paris for a 3-night stay. And who doesn't love Paris, right? So in Paris, we're gonna, because we're a small group, we're gonna get into small cars with a driver, and we're gonna have, you know, really personalized tours of the city in automobiles. So we will not be on a bus. Kind of fun way to take in the city. We'll also make sure you have free time in Paris. I know the list is so long of things to do there. You know, the Champs-Élysées is always fun. The sidewalk cafes. I know the Champs-Élysées, I could tell by the doors if I could afford to go in or not. You know what I mean? Really great. And then we have on all of our tours, we have a feature called Choice on Tour. And this is where you get to choose what you want to do. Some of them are more active than others for people that are real mobile that want to get out. And then this one's kind of toughie to me because I love both of these, but you can either do the Museum d'Orsay or go out to Monet's home and gardens at Giverny. All right. So some people see Choice on Tour and they think it's like a cruise ship where they have to buy the sites. This is included. All right. So just a choice. And then our farewell dinner is normally a cooking class. All right. I did hear through the grapevine, the gal that runs the cooking classes is a little paranoid about COVID right now. So in the unlikely event she doesn't do the cooking class, we're going to have a Seine River cruise with dinner. So both of those sound fabulous, but I like to be real transparent with the gal in the cooking class. But I don't know about you, I love to eat the food, but it's always fun to learn how to make the food as well, you know. Anyways, from there we'll fly home. So normally this tour would be kind of shut down by now. As you know, April 20th is right around the corner, but we have 10 open spots. So we thought, well, let's show it in case people are anxious after 2 years of being at home to go on the trip. Now there is a London extension where since you're there in Paris, you can tack on London for a few nights. If you opt to do this extension, we'll do the high-speed train through the Channel, the Eurostar. It takes a couple of hours, but really fun. I love traveling on high-speed trains in Europe because as all we have is Amtrak in this country, which is another long story. But they're fast, they're clean, they're efficient. And you get your stay right in downtown London. You get sightseeing passes each day to go out and see the sights. Kensington Palace, the Tower of London, really fun. And so it's nice, you can make your 12-day tour longer if you go ahead and add the extra nights in London. All right, so anyways, April 20th is our departure on this one. Every tour has a digital flyer. So I'm sharing that link, and I don't know, Dolores, did you guys email out links or are they on your website?
I just put the link there on the chat.
Oh, you did? Oh, great. Thank you. Yeah, so it's basically a flyer, but in digital form. But I like it because it has a lot of information. You can we list our hotels. You can click the little box for view full sightseeing, and it just tells you everything you're seeing and doing. There's travel tips down below that. And if and when you're ready to sign up, you click the blue button that says sign up now. All right. Another thing we do is we don't ever beg for checks. And I try to encourage folks, especially after 9/11, but we're going through it again. Some of you may have heard the 5-star cruise line Crystal. It just folded, and they actually owe the traveling public $100 million. And people who wrote checks will not see that money back. So ethical firms ask for credit cards. It's not the 80s. Nobody should be asking for a check, but checks put you at risk where credit cards don't. So if you're traveling with a company and you don't know their financial situation, please use a credit card. Because I know there's one river cruise company, they want you to pay a year out in full by check or wire transfer. And I don't know about you, but alarms go off in my head. Somebody's having trouble with their books, too much debt. Because credit cards don't want to work with companies that get a lot of cash backs and what have you. So anyways, I thought I'd mention that. So any questions so far on this one? I know a lot of you are muted, but if you have a quick question before we move on to the next one, feel free.
Or they can just put it in the chat.
I know the only thing is when I'm in presentation mode, I can't see that. So Dolores, maybe let me know if you see.
I'm your wingman. I'm your wingman, Jay.
Thank you. Yeah, let me know if you see some good questions. All right. We'll go to the next one. This is one of my favorites, although I'm a little biased because I grew up in this area. I grew up right near Plymouth Rock. So everyone that visited as a child, we had to take to Plymouth Rock. Anyways, love this tour too. 8 days, you only switch hotels once. So I love trips like that. We're going to do 3 nights at one hotel, 4 at another, 3 nights in Providence, Rhode Island, 4 nights in Falmouth on Cape Cod. All right. So really a neat tour focusing on the coast, as you see here, and the islands of New England. Newport's an island, Block Island, Martha's Vineyard's an island, Nantucket. So some really great sites. We're doing this in late August, by the way. So tail end of summer. I know a lot of the kids go back to school in California in mid-August. So we're kind of hoping to go when the kids go back to school. Not that I don't like kids, but I like them best in school. So Providence is where our trip starts. This is the Renaissance city. I actually went to college here in the 80s, and it was a real dump. And it's kind of interesting that a mayor came in named Buddy Cianci, and he cleaned up the city. He did an amazing job, but he did a lot of it illegally through bribery and corruption, and he went to prison for 9 years for it. However, now he's considered the hero of Providence because he just turned the place around. You know, he found areas like this that had a parking lot, and he said there's water under there, and he got it exposed with fountains, and it shoots out fire. And very vibrant city. So I think you'll enjoy your stay there. We're going to tour the city of Providence on day 2 and learn about the city and Buddy Cianci. And then we're going to go over the old east side of Providence. This is where the famous Ivy League university is Brown University. And of course, Brown goes back quite a ways. You'll see that red cross on that building on the left. That was a hospital during the Revolutionary War, you know, so.
Jay, quick question.
Yeah.
Are they going to do the Netherlands trip? Is that going to be available in 23?
Yes, we have the tour. Just remember the Floriade won't be there. So it's the
That's
same.
right. Yeah, that's every 10 years, right?
Yeah, it's the same trip. We'll go to Kukenhof if you go at the same time of year to see the 7 million tulips, but you won't have the Floriade.
And Jay, it won't be a UC Retirees Travel trip. So Collette will be doing the trip, but we won't be offering it through UC Retirees Travel.
Yeah. But if they're interested, just so you know, I can link up an individual to you guys. It wouldn't be a group from UC Retirees.
Right.
But,
Okay.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't be sending an escort and doing a group trip.
Yeah. Now the afternoon we go to Newport. That's 35 minutes from downtown Providence. Newport is where the rich and famous would spend their summers. And I mean the Astors, the Vanderbilts, the ultra rich. And I just love it because they had what they called them summer cottages. All right. And look at those. Amazing. So those are summer cottages when you're a Vanderbilt. So we're going to travel down Bellevue Avenue, and it's just amazing to see these things. It's really incredible. So we are going to tour one, of course, and we're going to give you the choice of which one you might want to do. Okay. Choice 1 is Marble House. Choice 2 is Rose Cliff. And we do this because some people have been here before and toured one of them. So now you have your choice of which one. I got to admit, I love the Marble House just because William Vanderbilt, boy, he just had more money to burn. But Rose Cliff's kind of interesting too, because that was in the movie The Great Gatsby. It was also in the movie True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis. And but yeah, look at William's house there, just unbelievable. The dining room with its fresco, and he actually loved to have tea, so he had his own Japanese tea house put out back. Pretty cool. Okay, next day we go to Block Island. Now this is, growing up in New England, we all know Block Island, but I will say out here in Cali, people aren't as familiar with it, but small island, very affluent houses and all that history. So we're going to tour Block Island, and we're going to have seafood lunch included, which is fun. Obviously, if you don't eat seafood, we always make sure there's plans for dietary restrictions, just so you know. And then the next day we leave our Providence hotel. Our destination is Cape Cod. We're going to stop in the morning, though, just before the Cape Cod Bridge, and we're going to visit Plymouth. And Plymouth was the cranberry capital for a long, long time. Wisconsin has surpassed it now, but we're going to visit a cranberry bog and learn about cranberries. And then also, of course, the infamous Plymouth Rock. We've got to visit that. I'm not sure why. It's not the Rock of Gibraltar. I'm a little jaded because we bring company here and people, it's important historically, let's put it that way, but it is just a rock in a pit. All right. From there, we're going to travel over the bridge to our Falmouth Hotel. This is it. Cape Cod is known for its beaches, so we're going to stay at a beachfront hotel for our 4-night stay. So that's nice to unpack for 4 nights. We are going to have an included lobster dinner, because if you go to New England, you got to have lobster, right? And then each day take trips out to the islands. So first one, of course, probably the most popular, Martha's Vineyard. You know, this is where most presidents vacation. Beautiful island. A lot of celebrities live out here. Ted Danson and his wife, Mary Steenburgen, James Taylor, Carly Simon still live here. So very, very charming. So our bus comes on the ferry as we tour the island. All right. And then we'll have free time to browse as well. All right. So next day, we're going to go to the very tip of Cape Cod. That's called Provincetown. It's an artist colony, and we'll have some time to sightsee there. And then in the afternoon, this one's a hard one too, another choice on tour, because they're both awesome. But choice 1 is a whale watching cruise. Choice 2 is to go on the National Sand Dunes Recreation Area in Jeeps. So people enjoy them both. I don't know what to tell you. It's hard to choose. All right, but good whale visibility there. And of course, the dunes are fun, so it's up to you. Okay, so Hyannisport's next. That's where the Kennedys lived. So we'll see the JFK Memorial. We'll see the roof of the Kennedy compound. We don't go to Chappaquiddick, by the way. Got to keep it positive. And then next day is Nantucket. All right, boat ride out to Nantucket, do some touring out there. All right, and then our trip will wrap up with a farewell dinner, say goodbye to everybody, and fly on home. We do have an extension. If you've never been to Boston, that can be fun to spend a couple nights in Boston. So if you want to do that, we stay at the Park Plaza Hotel right in the city center. And we also include the hop-on, hop-off trolley on this one. And if you're a fan of Revolutionary War, Paul Revere, Bunker Hill, lots to see and do in the city of Boston. So you can make this an 8-day tour or a 10-day tour. Choice is yours. All right. Here is the link on that one. And keep in mind the deadline on this one is coming up here pretty soon. So got a few more weeks to look this one over. Any questions on this one, Dolores, you want to share with me?
Nothing. I've already posted the site, so I basically told everyone this. The only thing that changes when they're looking for the site is the number, but the beginning half is all the same. So you just have to change the numbers, and they will go into whatever site you're talking about.
Yeah, and keep in mind our tours always include the airfare from San Francisco and Los Angeles, and then we do add, for folks that want San Diego, want Sacramento, we add those. But it's important to note, because a lot of magazines you get at your house are land only, so just so you know, this includes our air. And if you don't want to do our air, that's okay too. You just let us
I
know.
have been to those summer homes, and believe me, those are worth the whole journey. They are absolutely, it's interesting to see how the other half lived many, many years ago. They're absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, they sure had money to burn, didn't they? I'm like, wow, imagine having your own tea house. I'd have my own Starbucks.
And the most important part is the tour always ends in the gift shop, right?
Yeah, that's globally though. That's globally.
Hey,
right,
Jay.
Yes.
Jay, quick question. When you said the deadline was coming up, is that the early registration deadline to get a discount?
Yes, and that's really, there's a lot to unpack with that date. So I'm really glad you mentioned that, Sue, because I don't always get into. So every tour has a date. Sign up by this day. Many of them have a discount. Sign up by this day, get a discount. What happens on that day is we're probably holding 20 to 30 seats for the UC retirees. Now, if we only get 4, we don't want to be canceling your tour, So what we do on that date is we open this trip to the whole country and backfill it so that our trips operate, What I love about the date is you can cancel prior to that date and you'll get your deposit and money back, but you'll also get your insurance back. And that's really uncommon in the travel industry to ever see your travel insurance again. All right. So
repeat that again. What did you just say?
So every tour has a deadline. And the moral of the story is if you cancel before that deadline, you get insurance back and your deposit back.
Oh, that's good to know.
And once you hit that deadline, though, that's when the insurance kicks in. So let's take Ireland, for example. Ireland is April of 23. And I'm sure there's some of you saying, I really want to go on that trip, but it's over a year from now. Do I want to risk my $899 or $999, I think it is, deposit insurance? Do I want to risk booking a trip a year and 2 months out? What about my health? What about my kid that might get married? The what ifs. Well, what I love is the deadline for the Ireland is October 25th. So you can sign up now and know that you have all the way till October 25th to say, oh my God, I have a wedding to go to, or so my niece is pregnant. I want to be here when she has the baby, whatever. And you'll get everything back, including insurance. After that, though, you'll get everything back but the travel insurance.
Jay, would you mention too, the discount when you go on one trip, there's a discount for the future trips?
Yeah, so we have a loyalty program. So if you are going on the Netherlands, everything else I show today is 150 off, because it's all within a year of the Netherlands trip. And so if your trip's within a year of your last one, it's a flat 150. We try to keep our numbers flat. We don't do percentages and play money or any of that. It's just 150. And then once a year goes by, it drops to 100. But it's just a nice little thank you for coming with us, Well, this trip, boy, we've had this out for a while. I'm going to move through it a little quicker because some of you that come to all these travel shows have probably seen it 4 times, but we had to keep moving it with COVID. But it's one of our company's best sellers. And I actually worked up here for a while. It's a fabulous trip, So we're going to do some trains. And when we're not at trains, we're going to be at train hotels. And of course, just some of North America's most beautiful scenery, in my opinion. Gorgeous. So let's take a look at it. We're going to go into Vancouver. All right. So we'll fly in next day. We're not going to board the train, but later in the day. So we're going to have a city tour of Vancouver, Stanley Park. We'll see the totem poles. We'll go to Gastown. We'll see Chinatown, one of the largest on the West Coast. And then the afternoon over to Granville Island, which is always fun. All right. Granville has your markets and all. And then we're going to board the train after that. All right. And we're actually on the train overnight. We're on it for about 21 hours, just shy of a day. All right. But it's fun. A lot of us have never slept on a train. And so it's kind of cool. We're going to each get our own cabins and just enjoy the scenery. It's just a lot of fun. So this is what the cabins look like. Now, if there's 2 of you in a room, just so you know, it will be a bunk situation. All right. So this is what your cabin looks like during the day. Your cabin has a toilet and sink, just so you know. The shower is down the hall. Most of us don't need a shower. We're only on the train 21 hours. And even if you have medical insurance, I don't recommend showering in a moving vehicle if, possible. So, but this is what the beds look like. And I know people freak out, like I won't be able to get into the top bunk, but it's identical to how you got on the train. You grab a bar and you do 3 steps. So I would say, if you can't make it in the bed, it doesn't matter because you didn't make it on the train in the first place. But it's fun. If you're the sleepwalker, of course, take the lower deck, but it's just a fun experience. And then when you wake up, of course, you have your meals included, breakfast and lunch, and fabulous food, by the way. It's not just a box like on an airplane. So they do have the Bullet Lounge with live entertainment. We have free access to the Dome car, which I really like because I know there's another train company out there where you pay $900 to sit in the Dome and sip champagne. And I'm like, well, I kind of like that the whole group can do this. The food is cooked on the train. You get a menu. So in the morning, it's like an omelet, eggs Benedict. You can do the oatmeal with fruit, what have you. And then the lunches are fantastic. So it's just a neat experience for a lot of us to travel.
Jay, quick question. The group last year, were they adversely affected by the smoke from the fires in British Columbia?
Well, no, because they lucked out. For a while, it was bad. But in talking to them, they were in valleys. So that, the smoke kind of stays on top of the mountains and on the sides and what have you. But that was a close call because they went, September 5th. So they loved that trip, though. The feedback was fabulous.
Yes, the feedback was absolutely astounding. Everyone I said, they said it was fantastic. The guide was fantastic, and it was a bucket list trip. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My
great.
friend Maurice, she's the tour guide up there quite often. She's a gem. Mount Robson, yeah, this is one of the highest peaks, and it's actually the highest peak in the Canadian Rockies. And so you see that from the train. The train has a game room. I gotta admit, I think that's where I spent most of my time. It has several bars and lounges, but the game room was so fun. You go in and there's tables, and they have a Monopoly, Life, cards. People were playing gin and poker, and I don't know, it was just fun. While you watch the scenery, you know, you're having fun with your friends. But then the scenery gets more beautiful as the train goes on and you get into the heart of the Rockies. So we're going to get off the train in Jasper National Park. 2 nights there, sightseeing in and around. We'll go out to Moline Lake. We're also going to visit Moline Canyon, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Very interesting, the whole underwater karst system they have. And then you'll have free time in Jasper, which I know our national parks don't have this, but they actually have a little town inside the national park. And then the next day is one of my favorites, because boy, this is where you travel from national park to national park in the glacially carved Icefields Parkway. And you'll notice as you look at this picture, they didn't put casinos like we did in Lake Tahoe. They didn't put Denny's. They've kept it so natural and beautiful. And there's waterfalls we'll stop at. We're going to stop at the Icefields Parkway, which is a real highlight. We're going to have a choice on tour of either doing the snow coach or the skywalk, which is one of those glass floor things like they did at the Grand Canyon. So in my day, it was always the snow coach. We didn't have that skywalk up there back then, but this is a bus designed to travel on a glacier. You're traveling on 1,000 feet of ice. Now, some people grab a cup, drink water. I don't recommend that. They're smiling now. We don't know where they spent the rest of the trip. So, you know, there can be Giardia and things. Just always play careful. Or your other choice, of course, is that glass floor skywalk. So from there, we're going to continue on. And of course, more wildlife settings, more blue lakes. What's that lake? Pato Lake, absolutely gorgeous. And then we arrive at the famous Lake Louise. All right. And what's really neat with Lake Louise is a lot of bus tours stop here, but then they go to the Holiday Inn where they spend the night. But on this tour, we're going to stay at the Chateau Lake Louise. All right. This is why this trip is a little more expensive than most, because of these amazing hotels and the train package. But Chateau Lake Louise is just a dream to stay at. And the next morning, you'll have time. We don't check out till about 11 or so. So you have time to do a walk around the lake, hike to a treehouse, do a kayak. Of course, dinner at the hotel is off the menu dining. It's just magnificent. Then we're going to do Valley of the Ten Peaks. This is Moraine Lake. It sounds a lot like the last lake. I used to confuse Moline and Moraine. But anyways, from there, we go to Banff. And then when we get to Banff, they have the very first railroad hotel. And there it is, the Banff Springs. And we're going to spend 2 nights at this hotel. All right, so what a dream. Gorgeous. World renowned spa. They've won a lot of spa awards. It's just magnificent to stay at this old hotel. And we'll do some sightseeing while we're there. We're going to have a dine around where you can eat dinner at a number of restaurants inside the hotel. There's Bow Falls. That's where Marilyn Monroe frolicked in the movie The River of No Return. And then the Hoodoos. And we'll have time in downtown Banff, which is always fun. And then from here now, we're going to head to Calgary for our flight home. So we are going to stop in the valley. Lots of farming up here. The beef from Alberta is famous. So we're going to stop at a farm in Alberta and meet the ranchers and then learn about cattle and steak and what have you, and have a meal there, which is great. And then say goodbye to everybody in Calgary, and we'll fly home the next day. All right,
Jay,
so
question, what are the dates? I have 9/4 through 9/13. Is that still correct?
Oh, I thought I had 9/5.
Oh,
Oh, you know why? You go a day early, Dolores. That's right. You added a day.
you can come all join me a day early on 9.
Yeah.
Would you let everyone know basically the interesting part is the reason that the trip was changed last year and how so many of the people moved over to 2022. So.
Yeah, well, what we did on this one is this train in particular was going through some COVID drama. They decided to cancel our departure date. Now there was another train available, and some folks said, I don't care. I want to get on a train. I want to see these gorgeous Rockies. They still stayed at the Chateau Lake Louise on that trip. They didn't get that Banff Springs Castle, however, and you didn't sleep on the train. So it was just a different train. So most of the folks, I think about 18 or so, said, we'll go next year. But we had 5, and I don't blame them too. Those 5 were like, I'm over COVID. I want out of the house. They went, but they loved it. And I think those of you that go this year will love it too. So choice is yours.
That's right.
Yeah. Fun trip though. And so I think you've noticed a theme so far that Dolores and I, we really look for different trips. We don't want them to all be the same length, the same price, all Europe, what have you. So we're sprinkling in an upscale train trip with chateaus and all. And then we have our US Cape Cod trip. We have our Netherlands Floriade trip. Our next one I would put in the bargain category because this,
Yes.
oh my God, this is double coupon day, folks. This one blows my
This is it.
yeah. So for those of you that have seen those ads on TV, mostly biking, of course, you make that phone call and say, I want to try one of your river cruises. Well, by the time you get the cruise booked and add the air, you're at about 4,800 into the 5s and 6s, and river cruises are not cheap. And so, some folks stay away from them. But this one amazes me. And I swear this has come down since we booked it. I don't know.
Oh, excuse me. How much does Canadian Rockies cost?
It's in the 6s, the low 6s.
Low 6s for 2?
Per person double.
Per person double. Okay. Thank you.
I apologize. It's up there. Yeah.
And one quick question that I did review this for someone else, because they've included those 2 fabulous railroad hotels. Those hotels, I think, when I checked for someone, were running at that time maybe $500 to $600 per night. And those are the 2 hotels that were staying. So those are very, very high-end hotels, which kind of add to the price, right, Jake?
Well, that's it. I'll be honest. The Canadian Rockies for 15 years was our #1 tour. Out of 170 tours, it was #1. Now, every year the price goes up $400 to $500, and every year it comes out and I gasp and I think, oh my word. But it's still in our top 10. It's no longer #1. Dropped down a little bit. But it's still in our top 10. And I'm like, wow. And it's like Dolores said, first off, you'd be amazed what the train package costs.
Yes.
To just do the overnight train with meals, well over $1,000. I mean, it's up there. Then you add these hotels. Now, these hotels, you can barely get space in the summer. They're sold out 9 months in advance. So both the Chateau Lake Louise and the Banff Springs. And then another thing you don't realize too really on the trip is, and I worked up there in 94 and 95. So I remember this, but you would have dinner and they bring you the bill and you just sign it. And you start signing $120 dinner. You're thinking, oh my word, but it's just all included. So it's really more of a 5-star tour, but the price reflects it, And then we go to this. I mean, imagine Canadian Rockies at 63. Take a look at this one. Because Dolores, when we set this up, it was in the 3s.
Yes.
If you check out the web link right now, $29.98 it starts at. A river cruise with airfare for $2,900 is I don't know. I get excited. I get tempted to go with you because river cruises, as you know,
Yes,
are
please go.
these are 3 meals a day, sightseeing. You go to dinner, have a 2-hour dinner, wine included. Everyone who goes from big ship cruising where you get nickel and dime for every move you make, when they do river cruising, they don't want to go back because today's world, you don't want to be with 3,000 people. You don't want to get a picture of your face chewing dinner, all the tacky stuff they sell. When you go on river cruising, so much is included. And with 148 people, you just feel a lot safer than 3,000, So
Okay, quick question. Airfare is included in the Rockies, of course, right?
yes.
Yes.
Airfare is included in everything I show. So this $2,900, I mean, imagine it's half the price of the Rockies. And it includes a river cruise, all those meals, and your airfare to Europe. Amazing. So this goes in very early December. So it is a holiday trip, but you're not missing Thanksgiving. You're not missing Christmas. We do 1 night on land and the rest is on the river cruise. All right, cruising on the Danube. So we'll start with a stay on the Main River, a different river completely. This is Wurzburg. All right, we'll spend the evening. The next day, we're going to do some sightseeing in town, including the Bishop's residential palace that has the 2nd largest fresco in all of Europe. And from there, we'll visit Rotterdam. And that you recognize, I'm sure, Rotterdam from calendars and pictures. Beautiful old medieval town. We'll also learn how to make Christmas ornaments. And so really a fun trip. Now, a lot of folks ask me, what exactly is a Christmas market? I'm sure some of you might be thinking that sometimes they're called Christkindl markets. But this is one of them here. This is Nuremberg's market. But it's a lot like we have in California here, but ours are in the summer and they're called farmers market, right? So when you step back and look at what is a farmers market, it's where a town, most towns, have a center square and people come and set up stalls and they sell their goods. Now, in our case, they're selling almonds and peaches and apples and all. Well, they do this in Europe at the holidays, and they do it to sell Christmas gifts, arts, crafts, ornaments, steins, nutcrackers. So they're not selling peaches and pears, but it's otherwise the same concept. And what I love with these markets is a lot of the locals, they'll go 2-3 nights a week, and they're not there just to shop, but they go for the ambiance and the atmosphere. There's music, there's lights, you meet your friends, you have wine. Their wine is called Glühwein. It's a mulled wine. And anyways, it's just a really fun, magical atmosphere. And just about every town has them. All right. So, all right. I want to talk about the river cruise itself, because these, if you've not done one, you know, are different, especially if you've only done big ships. So we cruise with the Amadeus line, as you can tell, gorgeous line. I mean, absolutely beautiful. Ironically, my mom took this picture too. God, I should send her some kind of money for her photos, but she took this as she boarded, and I just love the picture because it really shows the category cabins clearly. So the cheapest price, your $29.98, is that lowest deck. See those small windows by the water? Here I am pointing as if you guys could see my fingers, but there's three levels you see. So you have lower, then you go to middle. Now, middle, everybody, is $33.98. I mean, what is, once again, such a steal to be middle. Upper is a little higher. You're now at $37.98. But this, once again, includes airfare, everything. If you want to really splurge, they have suites, and you can do a suite for $47.98 per person. All right. But that shows you, now, just so you know, those lower decks, you're not underwater. All right, you're not going to have fish swimming by. You know, people worry about that. So, but I absolutely loved it. I've been on 2 of these river cruises, and they're just great. The rooms are great. They've made the bathrooms bigger than they used to be. My first bathroom was very small. This last one I was on, I was like, oh my God, look at this bathroom. So I took a picture of it. That's me in the mirror. But they have the lounge, you know, they have a few lounges actually. And
Okay,
then,
we have a few questions if you got a second.
sure,
Cruise line that they use in the Danube.
Amadeus.
And then they wanted to know how many can sleep in each suite.
They still do 2 in a suite. And I know we struggle with that. We get a lot of people wanting triples, but they're just, suite's a bigger room. I mean, I suppose you could have someone on the couch, but you know, in Europe, beds are smaller and all. And so we
And there
do
was
that too.
one quick question, the single cost for the Rockies. Do you happen to have that one handy?
Did I write down single? I didn't, but it's right there on the link, of course. When you go to that link, it'll be right below the double.
Okay, great.
I know it's dear because the hotel costs are dear, so that makes a single supplement dear.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't mark up our single supplements. We make it purely based on hotel costs because that's, you know, what it really is. The dinners are like 2 hours long, and they include wine and beer. So I got to be honest, I'm Irish. When I go on a Holland America or a Princess, you know, I end up with a bar tab or I have to do the package. With the river cruising, it was nice because they're really generous with the wine and beer. And so I don't get that bill under the door that I dread. Dinner is off a menu. So you get a full menu each night. And everything's just smaller, though. There's no casino. The spa is smaller. The gym is much smaller. I mean, you go on a Holland America ship, there's what, 14 ellipticals and 12 treadmills and all that. And I went to this gym, it was 2 bicycles, a barbell, and a bowl of apples. So I just kind of laughed and left. And anyways, but still, it's there if you need it. Love the decorations in and around the ship. But yeah, we'll start cruising. We get our 3 meals a day included. Nuremberg's where we'll start. Look at the Christmas market there, just spectacular. We're going to, once again, river cruises include sightseeing, so it's not like you have to buy it. Nuremberg was fascinating because, of course, the Nazi rally grounds they take you to. Then you see the courthouses where the judgment at Nuremberg, you know, was based in the courthouses. So very interesting. Of course, gingerbread is from this region, so you do see a lot of snacks and eats at these markets, nutcracker steins, Christmas ornaments. So pretty cool stuff. Now from Nuremberg, we'll set sail. Next day you wake up, you're in Regensburg. So we'll do a walking tour of Regensburg. It's a much smaller town. This is one of the old Roman gates. So a lot of history to Regensburg. And it's famous for its old stone bridge. Regensburg had the smallest Christmas market. I think there were about 10 stalls or so in total, but beautiful. Passau is our next point of call. All right, known for that church you see right there, St. Stephen's It has the largest pipe organ in all of Europe, 17,000 pipes. And we'll do a walking tour there as well. All right. And then this part of the cruise, we always do during the daylight hours because it's the prettiest part of the Danube. So Emmersdorf, Dürnstein into Vienna. It's the Wachau Valley, basically, just gorgeous. And then our next port of call, there's the Melk Abbey. Oh, Glühwein, yeah. So every market sells its own Glühwein. It's mulled wine, and you get a souvenir mug with it. So I know on my trip, there were people, I called them mug collectors, because they weren't shopping for Christmas, but they were hitting the sauce, collecting the mugs, you know? So anyways, fun stuff. Hey, keeps you warm, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll end up in beautiful Vienna, and they put their Christmas market right in front of City Hall. So absolutely gorgeous. Now we're going to have a city tour included in Vienna, and then you'll have some free time. Now there is an optional tour on this day during your free time after the city tour. And that's if you want to, oh, there's another St. Stephen, different one from Passau, just so you know. This option is to the big palace there, the Showroom Palace. All right. Showroom Palace is like a Hearst Castle too, 1,441 rooms. And so, of course, this was the Habsburg Summer Palace. But yeah, this is what the ship looks like when it's next to the river. It's just beautiful. Anyways, that's where the trip wraps up. So that's your 9-day trip. Fabulous trip, great price. There is an extension if you want to stay longer. We do another couple nights up in Prague. Now this will be by motor coach. Drive to Prague. We'll have city touring up to the Radcany Castle and St. Vitus's Cathedral, and of course the old town with the open church right there and the astronomical clock. It's just, anyways, fun trip. Oh, I'm losing my voice here. So here is the package number there. Anyways, you can tell I'm excited because, like I said, feel free to, this is a tour I always say, go shop around. It's hard to find such a good bargain. And our, the Amadeus line is ranked 4.5 star too. So the beds are nice. They don't do pull down beds like the military and some companies do. They're nice, you know. Questions on this one?
So far, we've been answering questions as they come along. We're now at 10-3.
Oh, wow. See, I guessed around then. All right. So to wrap up real quick, everybody, as a company, we never do a penalty. I know some outfits, if you want to go 3 days early, have a fee, stay 3 days late, have a fee. We don't. We're happy to work with you as long as you tell us early. We'll do pre-nights, post-nights, back-to-back, business class. So just let us know what you need and we'll do our very best to work with you. We're best known for this. We're really the only company, we've had this for over 50 years. If you don't want to go, we don't really want you there because you won't be any fun. So we don't do this, get us doctor's notes, get us death certificates, fax us that x-ray of your broken arm. If you get a haircut you don't like, you can literally call Dolores and say, I'm not going to the Canadian Rockies because my hair is ruined. You'll get every penny back but insurance. No questions asked, in cash, no vouchers. And this includes the day before the trip. All right. So it's always gotten us a lot of press, but when COVID hits and events like this, people are so relieved because you shouldn't have to play a violin and just tell us sad stories. You should get your money back. So that includes the day before. It covers you medically while you're on the trip. So if you break a leg, need an ambulance ride. I was a tour guide, so I have loads of stories, but I'll spare you those. But you know, sometimes it's not you. Your kids could be in a car crash. I had that one once. I had to get them packed up to the airport ASAP. We had to get them on the next flight home because it was a serious car crash. But what I like knowing is they got a refund for every hotel bed they didn't sleep in, every meal they missed after they left the trip. So
One question, Jay, will you provide cell phone or Wi-Fi instructions on the river cruise? Is that available, cell phone or Wi-Fi on the?
yeah, the Wi-Fi, I almost said welfare. The Wi-Fi is not the best. You only have it in towns. So it's great when you're there, but as soon as you set sail, you lose it. Then you get it for 10 minutes up the road, then up the river, then you lose it again. But yeah, we will provide the Wi-Fi code.
But now, everyone, we are going to be talking about our trips and adventures in 23, starting at 3. Or do you want to start now? What makes it comfortable for you, Jay?
I was thinking 3. I think we kind of advertised, give everyone a little break, and
You can have a little break, but you can't go away.
yeah.
We're
I know.
holding you captive till 4 o'clock.
Yeah, so anyways, this is our loyalty program. All right, we described that already. Passports, make sure they're up to date. And then here's my contact info too. If anyone has any difficult, questions, you're welcome to reach out to any of us, but I'm always happy to assist.
So should we just have a little short break and then come back at 3?
Sure, that sounds good. Let me see.
Is everyone okay with that? Short break, go get some
Yeah.
more tea, some more coffee, potty break.
I know I need some water because I was starting to choke there, but that's about five minutes.
Yes, not much longer. I have an old clock, so.
Yeah. I like how it tells us that. That's cool. Well, for those of you watching on the recording, welcome. So we're going to start on 2023. We have a couple of tours out. Obviously, we're going to be, formulating more as the year goes on. I mentioned in the last video, Dolores and I try to look for different trips, and this is another one I'd put in the bargain category because it's such a neat one. And this is
Jay, before you go, oh my goodness.
2-week South Africa trip. And I'll tell you, when I see the price on this, I'm always blown away because, people always think, oh, Africa is 8, 9, 10,000, what have you. This is $49.99. That's $2,500 a week. And
Jay, could I just jump in? I'm sorry to butt in here. Somebody was asking about the COVID issues. Should COVID still be with us? Does Collette Tours assist with quarantine arrangements? What about the required 24-hour pre-departure PCR for the return trip to US? And
yeah, so
take care of those, right?
Yeah, we started running trips at the end of 2020. And so, no, we're accustomed to all that. So obviously you get yourself tested if a place requires it. We do send you a notice a month or 2 before the trip because that stuff's changing all the time. And yeah, if in the unlikely event, we had 9 people out of 3,800 this past fall that were positive. I thought that was a pretty low number, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, 9, but we had 9. And so we've gotten very good at it. But what happens is you are put up at a quarantine hotel and they test you every couple of days until you're negative. And then we put you on the next flight home. Another reason I do recommend the travel insurance is obviously changing flights and all that. We take care of all that. Plus your hotel, you get reimbursed $150 a day trip delay. So depending upon where you are in the world, they negotiate good hotel rates, but you do end up paying for your hotel, breakfast, lunch, dinner, what have you. But $150 is nothing to sneeze at. So that usually covers your room and your maybe dinner,
Oh, as a side issue, you mentioned notifications from Collette regarding the COVID information. I'm on the Netherlands trip. And so far, I think within the past 3 or 4 weeks, I have gotten 2-page emails from Collette updating me on all the COVID and the test and what's going on. So they've been very good at keeping me and all the other travelers abreast of what's going on.
We're trying. It changes by the minute, though. It drives you crazy. I mean, they go from antigen test to PCR test. Some of them just went no test. Like, okay, so, but we're always trying to.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So this trip I've taken myself, loved it. I've been to South Africa twice, just think it's such an amazing spot. And once again, at $2,500 a week, it's just such a bargain. And yet it's still 4-star through and through. Just keep in mind, this is not a smaller group tour. So this could be up to our average back in the day, pre-COVID on a trip like this was 37. Nowadays, not as much, but just to let you know, once again, great pacing. We get 3 nights at Kruger National Park. All right. 3 nights in Cape Town, which is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And so the others are 2. And then there are 2 extensions because some of us like extensions. We want to make the trips longer. You can do Dubai on the front end on your way there. And then you can do Victoria Falls up in Botswana, Zimbabwe, at the end of the trip. All right. So you can make it shorter as long as you want. It's kind of nice, But anyways, we're going to start in Johannesburg. We stay in the nicest part of Johannesburg. Okay, Johannesburg's not the nicest city in the world. So we stay in their version of a Beverly Hills. It's called Sandton. And you learn all about Nelson Mandela, the nice statue to him right outside. So for touring, though, we're going to go out and visit Soweto and learn about apartheid and where Nelson Mandela grew up. We're going to have an included lunch with the locals at a tavern. All right, we always like to interact with locals when we travel. And then we'll have an included visit to the Apartheid Museum. So really eye-opening to me, because I was younger at the time. I wasn't paying much attention in the late 80s to all that apartheid talk. It's so very interesting to learn about. So anyways, from there, everybody, we're going to do the beautiful ride to Kruger. I didn't expect such a gorgeous ride, but it's brilliant on your trip out there. We'll do the photo stops. This one's fascinating, Borksluck potholes where the water eroded all the limestone. And then we'll arrive at our hotel, which you get 3 nights. So we're going to have 2 days of game drives. All right, we'll do a Boma dinner, which is your traditional outside African dinner. And then, of course, game drives in Kruger National Park. Always neat to see these animals out there. Incredible. All right, after our time there, everybody, we catch a flight to the coast. Keep in mind this internal flight's included in the price of the trip. We go to the resort town of Neisner, real beautiful lagoon. That's what it's known for. If you look at this photo, you see there's a lagoon and an entrance to the ocean, and that's called the Neisner Heads. And so we're going to do some local sightseeing, visiting an old camp, elephant camp, learn about the old housing there. And then we're going to visit one of our charitable foundation sites, which is the Neisner School. So it's kind of neat to meet the kids. You can bring little gifts on the trip if you want, crayons and coloring books and things like that. And then this to me was a highlight. We're going to do a cruise across the lagoon to the Featherbed Sanctuary. And it's just gorgeous out there. Then we'll also have a choice on tour where you can do more sightseeing along the coast or enjoy time in Neisner. I opted for the time in Neisner because I wanted to explore some good shopping there, you know. Okay, after Neisner, everybody, we travel to the wine district. All right, Stellenbosch, South African wine, so popular. The setting is gorgeous. We're going to do 2 nights at a beautiful spa hotel. And of course, do some tasting. We'll have a wine pairing with dinner, and the next day go to a few wineries and just soak up the ambiance and the wine. And then from there, you're really close to Cape Town. And I'll tell you, I kept seeing Cape Town on these lists of most beautiful cities, and you almost don't believe that Africa would have one of the world's most beautiful cities. You know, that's people often say that, and I'm like, yeah, that's odd. Cape Town is so gorgeous, though. I mean, it's so modern, nice. That background is Table Mountain, which is just breathtaking to see in person. Very modern here too. You know, this was settled initially by the Dutch, and then the Brits ran it for a while. So I mean, very modern city. But it's nice that you get 3 nights here. All right, and of course, one of our goals is to go up to the top of Table Mountain. All right, so we are going to take the gondola up. There's another view of the city with its giant soccer stadium there. This gondola, though, goes straight up. It's very impressive. Look at that. Now, I put in some of my photos from the top of Table Mountain. Those are some of my coworkers pointing at me there, but I always wanted to go to the back side of Table Mountain to see what's on the back. So this is the back side as you look down, straight down. It's very interesting. But great photo opportunities up there. Of course, some people do that Titanic, I'm the king of the world thing. That's not me. Someone was doing it. We'll also tour the rest of the city, of course, the colorful Malay Quarter, you know, more of the waterfront, the Millerton Lighthouse, and then do a trip down the coast to see the penguins at Boulder Beach. And then, of course, a nice farewell dinner. You make good friends when you're on a 14-day trip. So this is where the main trip wraps up, and then we'll catch our flight home. All right. So once again, I just want to mention the 2 extensions. You can do Dubai on the way there. I did do this. I wanted to fly Emirates Airline. It's considered the world's top airline. And I wanted to see Dubai. You know, I was just curious about it. So it is really the Las Vegas of the desert. They have the biggest, highest, tallest, you know, of everything. They have a ski field inside a shopping mall. You see hotels like this where you can land your helicopter. So we'll do some sightseeing. We're going to do a taxi ride on the Dubai River. We'll visit the famous markets. And then this was one of my favorites. We go out in the late afternoon and do some, they call this dune bashing, but this is where we go out in jeeps and ride the sand dunes. And literally we ran into a string of camels. So that was interesting. It's not often I stop a vehicle so camels can walk by. But then we go to a cultural center and have dinner and entertainment. And the cultural center just had some really neat aspects to it. So we'll have dinner, but they have an area where you can dress like the locals. And so there I am in my local outfit. That was my most liked photograph on Facebook in 2017. And my
That's
caption,
good.
I posted it again today because it's the anniversary, believe it or not. But it was funny because I had posted my new outfit is turning heads. And I don't know who that guy is in the background, but he's looking at me. So not a post. Anyways, fun stuff. And then they have hookah, which I had never tried hookah. So that was kind of interesting. It was strawberry flavored, so a little bizarre. And then they have the belly dancers come out and all that. So I really did enjoy Dubai. If I had to pick one of the two, and this one is a little pricier, but amazing, is to go to Vic Falls. And so this is a trip where they fly you up to it's Zimbabwe, but it's right on the border of Botswana. So you really straddle the border, but we get 3 nights. We go to an elephant sanctuary. We used to years ago ride the elephants. Just, you know, as a company, we've really gotten away from anything that involves any kind of animal cruelty. And so, but you get to meet them, feed them, you know, all that stuff. We'll visit the market and of course do our sightseeing around Vic Falls. Chobe National Park is available. It is an option, but it's like an hour away if you want more game drives. That's kind of fun. But Victoria Falls is 30 stories. So it's really impressive to see.
Jay,
Yes.
this is Sue. I'll just second your vote for Victoria Falls. I was there about 2 years ago. Absolutely love Victoria Falls. And I put in the chat that the town of Victoria Falls is within the national park. And so when we were there, we saw an elephant in the parking lot at the KFC. So that was really fun. Animals just wandering around
Just
town.
roaming, yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, I'm so mixed on the animal thing because I rode the elephants and it was so fun. But as, you know, as a company, you know, we want to do what's right. And I guess the training to ride elephants is not nice to the elephants. So we dropped it in Thailand and Vietnam and here. And now
This was just a wild elephant in the parking lot at the KFC.
I love that. Did you get some photos of the elephant at the KFC? I just Classic. Now, I forgot to ask Aisha, I have a video and I know sometimes Zoom has volume, other times it doesn't. So I don't know if we'll hear this or not.
Well, when you share the video, you have to click, when you share screen, you have to click optimize for sharing.
Okay, yeah. So nobody can hear this right now?
No, but if you want to stop your share and then reshare, then you'll see a little button where it says optimize for sharing.
All right, let me try that. So I get out of this, right?
Yep, stop share.
Okay. And then,
You
Stop
got
share completely.
screen.
oh, how about
Yeah.
share sound clips? Share sound, right? Share sound?
You have to stop
Yeah.
sharing your screen completely though, Jay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay, now reshare.
Now we share. And that is here. Okay. Share.
Do you see a button that says optimize sound?
I see share sound or
Try
optimize
that.
for video clip.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. I just like this because it's my friend Don Lowe. He was my tour guide. He's fabulous. We're friends on Facebook. Good guy. But just an overview of the trip. So
we have a saying
Perfect.
in Africa that once
Great.
Africa gets into your blood, it stays forever and you have to come back. When people come here, they're completely surprised at how beautiful the country is. It's spectacularly beautiful. We do Table Mountain, which is always a big highlight. We go up a cable car to the top of the mountain. It's 3,500 feet above sea level. When you get up there, you can almost sense that the world is round. And then, of course, we do a visit to the penguin colony, which is always a big attraction.
Seeing them in the wild was just the fulfillment of something that I've wanted to see for a long, long time.
Everything is just amazing. We see all these animals really close up. There are often very exciting moments that happen on safari. This elephant came marching right towards us. It was a young male. There was something in the bush just to the left of the vehicle that he really liked, and he stood literally 10 feet from where we were and fed. We came upon this lion lying in the road, and he eventually sat up, and then he started roaring.
Lion lying in the side of the road, and he turns over and starts roaring, and it's very magical.
The real exciting part of the tour gets started when we fly up to Victoria Falls, which is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. When I finish a tour and people come to me and they say, Don, thank you for making our dreams come true, and I realize what a spectacular holiday this has been for any particular person.
Always dreamed of it all my life,
Yeah.
and here we are.
Amazing, awesome, but I think spectacular is the word that I would choose for this tour, yes.
All right. Can everyone hear me now? I don't see anybody anymore.
I see you.
Oh, you do? Okay, I don't see you all. I just see my screen. But anyway, well, here's the link for South Africa. This is in February of 2023. All right, so still a ways off, but really a neat trip. I'm pretty excited about that one. All right, and then so far we have one other trip finalized, just bring you through this one, but we're looking at Ireland for April. All right, and this time we're going to Northern Ireland. A lot of people have been to the Republic, but they haven't been to the North. You know, I know for many years you really couldn't go to the North, so it's neat to see, you know, and so I love this tour. It's such a great country. They just love Americans. We're going to fly into Dublin, have a 2-night stay in Dublin. Once again, instead of eating at a hotel, we're going to go out to what they call an Irish house party, our very first night in, so that we can see real Irish dancers, have food. Of course, many of us have our first Guinness. You hear Danny Boy for the first of many times. But it's fun. It's fun to meet your fellow travelers. And then next day, we're going to tour the city. All right. Oops, sorry. Choice on tour. You can either do the historic walking tour or do the motor coach tour. I usually opt for the motor coach tour. Even though I enjoy walking, I just feel I see a little more when they drive me around. All right. We are going to go out to St. Patrick's Cathedral, which is neat to go in and take a tour of. And then we'll see those beautiful Georgian style doors. They have the doors of Dublin. And then you'll have your afternoon free to do what you want to do after that. This is Grafton Street. A lot of us like to go shopping. I end up at a pub without fail. There's over 700 pubs just in Dublin alone. There I am having a Guinness. Gotta love Guinness, you know, good stuff. Next day, everybody, we're going to head south to Kilkenny, known for its historic castle you see in the background there. Spend a little time in Kilkenny and then continue to Waterford. All right. And Waterford, so much history. There's still buildings from the Viking period there. So when we get there, we're going to have a choice on tour of the Waterford Crystal Factory or going to the Medieval Museum where you get a tour and wine tasting. So once again, choice is yours. From there, we head to the famous Blarney Castle. And I love this, so that, you know, we've all heard of kissing the Blarney Stone. For those of you that have not been, it's at the top of the castle. A lot of folks don't realize that. If you look carefully at this picture, you'll see people on the top of the castle waiting in a little line to kiss the stone. All right. It's not as easy as it looks, but it's really fun to climb the castle and do it. So to kiss the stone, you sit down, you lean back, you grab the bars. And he works there, by the way. You know, I had a lady say, what's he doing? And I know he's not a pervert. He works there. But he helps you in case you lose jewelry or anything like that. But I will say, Dolores, I don't know that you need to kiss the Blarney Stone because you know the legend, right? It gives you the gift of gab. And you and
You would accuse me of having the gift of gab, Jay?
well, I've had literally people at my travel show say, Jay, don't kiss the stone. You don't need more help. And I said, well, too late. I already have kissed it. I don't know. Now from the Blarney Castle, we head to Killarney. This is like Ireland's playground. So we're going to travel there, 2-night stay. We're going to do a cruise at Killarney National Park. We're going to have a dine around. This is where you get a dinner ticket and you get a choice of 3 to 4 restaurants. You go eat where you want with who you want. All right. Next day, we do the Ring of Kerry. So that's always nice to have included because that's kind of a must see. Beautiful farms. You see some of the Aran Islands. It's just gorgeous. And then we travel over the highest peaks in Ireland and stop at Ladies View and then descend back down towards Killarney. Now we're going to do a horse and buggy ride. This is the stuff I like about Collette because a lot of companies sell this as an option and we include it. We think the horse and buggy ride's important too while you're in Killarney, you know. So anyways, next day we're going to head up to the Cliffs of Moher. Absolutely gorgeous, 700-foot drop into the Atlantic Ocean. So really beautiful to see. And then from there, we're going to stay at the old Ground Hotel, elegant hotel, as we work our way up to Donegal. And after that, the northern part of Ireland. All right. So here's Galway. Beautiful city. This is our next hotel, the Manor House. And then Donegal town, beautiful coastal ride. And crossing over into northern. So when you're in northern, you're technically in Britain, as you know. And I was so fascinated to finally get here because in the 90s, you just couldn't go up here. And it's just so interesting to me. So their neighborhoods in Northern Ireland are still divided. Catholic neighborhoods on one side, Protestant on the other. Very interesting. And Derry is a gorgeous town with its old historic wall. So touring both Belfast and Derry are just so fascinating, you know, to hear about the Troubles and the car bombs and all that they went through, and the fact that there's still tension in the air, you know. I love the meat pies over there. So we'll do a coastal ride up the Inishowen Peninsula. And then this is the Peace Bridge in Derry. You know, when they declared peace, they built this bridge, just gorgeous. And then on our way to Belfast, we're going to visit the Giant's Causeway. This is the top attraction in Northern Ireland. It's basaltic rock that looks like a staircase going into the water. It's just gorgeous. And then our trip wraps up with 2 nights in Belfast. And so really interesting there too. So Belfast, such fascinating history between the Troubles, but also shipbuilding is so huge here. So you actually see the cranes that made the Titanic. And speaking of which, we include a visit to the Titanic Museum. They even have the staircase, you know, from the Titanic. Interesting recreation of that staircase. You come down. It's fascinating stuff. Of course, once I went to this, I had that Celine Dion song in my head all day, but that's another story. But anyways, that's where we'll wrap up the trip. All right, so that's coming in April of 2023, and there is the web link for that one.
Jay, do you want to touch base on some of our ideas that we've had for the rest of the year? Like
So we're looking
in Lapland.
Yeah, we're looking at a couple trips. So we're looking at the Music Cities, which is a US tour. We like to make sure we have some North American tourists in the mix. Music Cities is really fun in that it's the birthplace of jazz, birthplace of blues, and birthplace of country. So it's New Orleans, Memphis, and Nashville. We go to Elvis's house. We go to RCA Studio B. So you literally go in a recording studio that Elvis performed in. We include the Grand Ole Opry tickets. So we do a bayou cruise in New Orleans. That should be a fun trip. And then we're also looking at Finland for the Northern Lights. And so that's a real fun one too. Helsinki for a few days, but then we fly to Lapland and we stay at the famous hotel that has the igloos where you lay in bed and can look through the glass at the igloos. So, but obviously we love your requests. So, you know, keep us posted. All right.
When do you think that the Music Cities is going to go down? When do you think that is? In summer?
Well, I hate to say it, but they might be kind of close together in the fall because Finland, we want to go when it's cold and snowy because that's how you see the Northern Lights. And then Music Cities, I just avoid summer because it's so hot, you know, since you're in the South. So my guess is September and November or October, November on those two.
And the discounts are all applicable for all these journeys once you've gone on one, right?
Yeah. So when you come home from any trip with us, you have 2 years. And the nice thing is it doesn't matter where you booked it. So if you took a Collette trip last year that you booked somewhere else, it's still, you get the discount here with the UC Retirees. So
now, quick question. Do you know who your guide is prior to your getting there? Is that
most of our guides write to you before you go, but it's closer in.
Closer in. So by the time you arrive and someone's holding that big tour sign, it'll be basically, you'll know who your guide's going to be, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's why it's important we get your email. As a company, we don't mail homes, we don't blast you sales emails, we don't do that stuff. But we need your email, number one, for invoicing, bills, what have you, but also your tour guide writes to you before the trip normally.
Now you will have access to how to reach your tour guide while you're there. I mean, if you need to call them.
Oh yeah, they'll give you their cell, how to text, their email, what have you, yeah.
Okay, okay.
So I know most of you were at the first show, so you already know this stuff, but once again, the insurance cancel anytime, any reason, full medical coverage. There's the loyalty program. So that's valid for 2 years. And of course, reminder about having your passport. Real ID's been bumped to spring of 23. So anyways, yeah, that's about it for.
I posted your email and your phone number in case they want to reach you.
Oh, mine? Oh yeah, I could go back to that slide.
I put that on there already, Jay.
Oh, you did? You're one step ahead of me. I know.
Hey, I'm your wingman. What can I?
Does anybody have questions, thoughts?
Sure. Anything at all. We'll take any questions you want.
Even requests. I love to know where people want to go.
Sure.
Not necessarily now, but next year, the year after, whatever.
That's a great idea. Any ideas for where you think we'd all like to end up?
Oh, I have such a bucket list myself. And people say, you've been here 32 years, you've traveled, you know, you must have been everywhere. And I've been to a good chunk of the world, but I still have a very long list of places I want to go.
When I used to do the travel group, when we could actually meet one another, I would ask people that question, and then I'd go home with some of them were absolutely fantastic. They were beyond bucket lists. They were like, you know, you died and went to heaven and you went on this fabulous journey. And what I always used to tell people is the ones that, you know, when they just opened up cruising for 108 days or 230 days, you have to stop and think of how long can you be away from home?
Yeah.
You know, are the trips ever any longer than 2 weeks, Jay?
Oh yeah. In fact, I spent most of my guiding career in Australia and New Zealand. I did 48 tours there over 6 years. And so we have 21 day, 24 day, 28 day, and a 15 day. And so, I would do the different ones. I'd just stay down there and do back-to-backs so I wouldn't have to fly over the ocean so much. But that was in the late 90s.
If anyone has any ideas, just let me know or let Jay know. And, you know, maybe it's something we could look into, you know.
Yeah, I know one of the ones, my next couple I'm going to do is, we have a Croatia yacht cruise. I want to do that one. We spend a week on a yacht with 18 cabins. So, you know, small, and visit all those little islands out there. And the other one I want to do is Morocco, because I've sent some groups and they just love it. We sleep in the Sahara Desert a couple nights. And
does Collette have any of those ultimate trips? You know, like if you said, oh my God, that's only a few people, it's going to cost us an arm and a leg in your retirement. Are any of those trips ever around?
No, the highest thing we have is Antarctica.
Okay.
And ironically, I've been getting calls for it. People, after being home 2 years, you couldn't go to concerts, you couldn't travel anywhere. People are kind of splurging. I mean, even people I didn't think, because I know some of my travelers quite well. And I'm like,
you would say that's the ultimate trip.
yeah, because I mean, Antarctica is the price of my car. It's 19,000 starting.
And how long is it?
That one's 14 days. So you go down, you do a little South America, Buenos Aires and Ushuaia, and then you board the, we work with National Geographic on that one, and you board a ship and you do the little zodiacs out to the penguins and the islands. And I got to admit, I don't sell it much, but like I said, after you stick people at home for 2 years and they're asking for all kinds of things.
Have you done the Antarctica one yourself?
Myself, no.
So you have to put this together for us and go because it's your ultimate trip, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I think this.
Well, people don't realize as a guide, you do the back-to-backs. I mean, you know, I loved Australia, New Zealand, but 48 trips, you know, by trip 30, it was, you know.
Stu, what do you think? That could be the ultimate UC trip, right? We're all going to Antarctica, right?
Susanna has a question. Go
Oh,
ahead.
yes, all of it sounds fantastic. I do have a question. Myself and my sister were booked for South Africa and we're so excited. And when we booked, we were interested in the elite travel, but on your website, it said it may not be with the rest of the tour group. So my question is the elite travel for South Africa with the rest of the tour group? Because we want to be part of the tour group.
Well, the only reason we ask that is some people are a little more independent and want to just get there. And others want to be with the group. Now, the reason we ask that is we want to get you the best price on business class, because business class is pricey. I mean, especially to Africa, it could be what, 7 grand or 6 grand, it's high. So we asked that because if the group's flying in business class is close to full, the airlines love to charge more, where I personally, just so you know, if you're ever on a different flight or whatever, we're going to meet you at the airport. We're going to meet them at the airport. So I wouldn't worry about that. As you know, we don't hold hands in flight. I mean, once we're on a plane, we barely see each other. So, but that's why we asked that. Are you willing to be separate? We'd still get you in within 2 hours of the group. You just might be on a different airline. Are you by any chance thinking of going to Dubai on that one or no?
Oh, we signed up for Victoria Falls.
Okay. Well, the only reason I say Dubai is Emirates makes the whole, I mean, they're the world's best airline, and you go in business class, you don't want to get off the plane. I mean, that's
Okay, so basically Collette drives by the best price if it's on the flight of everybody else, but it may be a different flight, but somebody from Collette will meet us and put us with the group, correct?
That's right. I mean, I was the tour guide. It's normal for me to spend 12 hours at an airport, to be honest. I get there at noon, I'm there till midnight, meeting 4 on this flight, 20 on this flight, 6 on that flight.
Okay, great.
So you're still taken care of. It's just, we want to make sure we get you a good rate because business class is outrageous. So we want to help you out where we
Yes.
can.
Oh, no, and that's greatly appreciated. And my last question is, how long is that flight? And where does it go first? And then where do you, I mean, what are the stop or layovers?
Well, we use all major carriers, and things have changed, you know, with COVID, but pre to COVID, South Africa is one of the few places you can go from the US, where I know Nairobi and all that, you have to go to Europe first. So if you do the Emirates, of course, that means you fly to Dubai, then Dubai down. If you do others, so South African Airways was one we used quite a bit. They left from New York City. So we'd fly you to JFK, you'd connect to South African Airways. It goes right to Johannesburg, or Joburg, as they call it. I went Delta through Atlanta. So I was Sacramento, Atlanta, Joburg.
Okay, so it's going to be LA to New York or to Atlanta or one of the connecting flights.
Yeah.
And
Jay, when we went, just when you asked about the amount of time, we went through Washington, DC, and then down to Johannesburg, and it was 17 hours from Washington, DC to Johannesburg. So when we got to the African continent, we stopped for a fuel stop, but we didn't get off the plane and then went on to Johannesburg. At least that flight I was on.
Yeah, it's long. I remember it was about 21 hours.
Yeah.
That's another reason with faraway destinations, we like to make the tours a decent length. I have had people say, I want an 8-day Africa. I'm like, oh my God, by the time you get there, you're going to turn around and go right home. You have to, when you go to Africa, it has to be 2 weeks, you know?
Yeah.
Now,
Well, thank you. Thank
Are
you.
they mostly nonstop, or are most of the trips flights nonstop, or are they stop along the way?
Well, that's a hard question. It depends. I live in Sacramento, where there's nonstops to nowhere.
Boise, we can go to Boise, Jay.
Yes, there you go. I'm glad to hear that finally, but no, it's because I get people who they want to go right to Europe, and I'm like, well, you find a plane and we'll take it. But no, Sacramento, and I have a coworker in San Francisco, and he leaves after me and arrives before me.
Yeah.
And he has one stop, and I do the planet tour where I go to Dallas, then Dallas, British Air to London, but that's part of living near. Same with, I'm sure, San Diego, Sacramento, Medford, Oregon, but. Your LASFO.
I forget that not everybody lives in the big hub. That's
yeah.
exactly
When you're
right.
LASFO, you generally can get nonstops. It just depends where, though. I always count on one stop somewhere. Yes. Vicky, I see next.
I have a question, Jay. I have not looked through Colette's website, but I'm interested in. Well, I'd like to know whether or not there are tours through Collette that will go to Normandy. The beaches in Normandy, Mont Saint Michel, the Channel Islands like Saint Malo. I know that you can fly into Gatwick Airport, and then you can take a flight into one of the Channel Islands, Jersey, and then you can take a boat from Jersey to Saint Malo.
Mm-hmm.
And then from St. Malo, because I'd like to go to and stay overnight at Mont Saint Michel, and then from there go to the Normandy beaches and visit D-Day, the beaches in D-Day during D-Day, and then then from there go to Paris. And there's so many other little quaint little towns, you know, in that area. I'd like to see a tour like that.
Yeah, well, no, that's good to know. We do have one we run. It doesn't include all of that, but it is the Normandy, Paris, Normandy beaches, Loire Valley, Mont Saint Michel, all that's part. I know we had another one that did go to St. Malo, but they are talking down the road of doing more of a Channel Islands trip. One of the things I recommend waiting for, and this would be a perfect one for Dolores and I to maybe consider down the road, is it 23? So every 5 years, and we've done this for over 25 years, but every 5 years we do a specialty Normandy trip for the anniversary of D-Day. And it's interesting because when I got in the business, you know, the first 10, 15 years, it was the soldiers coming on our trip. And my tour guide friends would just say, you wouldn't get over the crying, the tears, the chills were amazing. And then sadly, they kind of died off, and it was the widows who went. They wanted to see where the husbands fought. And now the kids have been going to see where dad fought in Normandy. And so we still every 5 years. So the next time we run it is going to be 2023. And I know it starts in London. You know, the whole theme of that trip, though, a lot of it is the war, you know, the different sites of the war. So it will include London, and then over to France, and we go where the treaties were signed. We go to the where they jumped out of the planes, that museum. I haven't shown it, of course, now in 5 years. So, but yeah, it'll be back for 23 for the anniversary.
That would be a good trip, I think, for our group.
I think that would be great. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's one we should look at.
Yeah, pretty cool. Cool. I can't believe, you know, talk about
You
years.
know just a tentative date on that one yet, Jay?
No, they're building all the 23s now, but when they said it was coming, I thought, wait a minute, I feel like I just showed that. Has it been 5 years already? You know, because we had it out last time.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
That sound like something interesting to you, Vicki?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that's another one on my bucket list.
Vicki's one of our new escorts, so there you go.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, questions?
I do have a question. I was thinking of coming or having somebody join me, my nephew. Is that something that the retirees group would allow doing?
Absolutely, absolutely, and more absolutelys. We encourage retirees and friends and family. Absolutely,
I've
absolutely.
been thinking myself, maybe I should come and help you all.
Oh,
you know,
Aisha,
do the trip. Do you guys need an extra person to help guide you?
Oh, there
Like,
we
bring
go.
my whole squad.
And you don't have to do any Zoom.
Yeah.
There we go.
Good idea. I'm ready to go on all these too, I'll tell you.
Hi, this is Davida. I have a question. I lost connection early on. I didn't see any, did I miss any talk about Cuba? Is that still an option?
Well, Cuba's a different company, so
Yeah.
yeah.
That's through Premier Travel. So if you're interested in Cuba, you can email the UCRetireesTravel@gmail.com.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, one other tour I would be very interested in doing, but I don't know whether or not it's appropriate to go with Collette, is maybe the battle locations of the Civil War. I've always wanted to do that.
You know, some of these niche tours we really struggle with. We partnered with the History Channel on a Civil War battlefields tour about 13, 14 years ago, and it sold horribly. And we were shocked because the History Channel like promoted it and all.
Oh.
It's funny with the niche ones. I had a quilting group on a quilting tour with Paducah, Kentucky. That failed. The Civil War battlefields failed. So yeah, I apologize, but that was just a little too niche. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's just that I remember you mentioned something about, you know, tours that are available in the US, and I just thought of that. So
yeah, well, of course we do Gettysburg on, you know, our we have a historic US tour that does your Gettysburg, Williamsburg, Philly. I love that tour. It makes you proud to be an American.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I always like the history tours.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Jay.
Well, thank you,
Just to
Vicki.
interject quickly, if you did miss some of the presentation, I am recording it and I'll send it out to everyone that registered for today's Zoom. And you'll also get the email for Jay, you'll get the email for Dolores, and Sue will send me the email for the travel retirees. So one of those three people will be able to help you with any questions you might have to follow up.
So you're going to be sending out the recording to each one who came today?
Yes, as soon as I
Wonderful.
can upload it to the cloud and then download it to the YouTube,
cloud?
then I can send it out to the universe.
No, that's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you for recording it too, because I know a lot of people miss stuff or get cut off, what have you. So greatly appreciate all your help, Aisha.
Absolutely. Any more questions?
Well, I so appreciate you all taking time. I know this was a lot to show. That's why we wanted to break it into 2 hours, but we did get through it all, and it's a pretty exciting lineup. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much, Jay.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
still have some spots open on the Netherlands trip. So if anybody's thinking about going, that should be a lot of fun. We're looking forward. That's going to be our first trip. So let's make our first trip spectacular.
That's right.
We'll send out an email early next week you can always go to the UC Retirees Travel website, kukra.ucsd.edu/travel. You can just Google search UC Retirees Travel and come up with it. But Aisha will send out those links, and we'll send an email newsletter out for everyone who's on our email list next week with the link for the Netherlands trip and all the others too. But if you're interested in the Netherlands trip, you should sign up right away because that's coming right up.
That's coming
Yes.
soon. Yeah.
I'll put together a story for you, Sue, and send it to you. Absolutely.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Thanks, everybody, for coming. You've got Jay's email, my email, everybody's phone number. We're there for you. Whenever you have any questions, we'll be glad to help you out. And we
Feel
hope
free to bring me back a souvenir.
Oh,
I prefer red.
you
but-
should still
We've
negotiate.
got another escort. Oh, my goodness. There you go.
You're
Thank
a
you,
good,
Jay.
good negotiator.
Start
Aisha.
thinking about that plan for that trip to France, Vicki.
Well,
That one you mentioned, that one about going to Normandy. Let's work and see if we can do like something like that for 23.
Yeah.
oh, I would love to do that. I mean,
There you go.
and it's, yeah, and also to go to Mont Saint Michel. It has always, that's my bucket list. Yeah.
Gorgeous,
Yeah.
isn't it?
We like
Yeah.
to hear these bucket lists. We'll work on it for you, Vicki. Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you
you all.
all. Appreciate
Talk
it.
to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye, guys.
guys. Bye.
Bye.